Hi, I want to talk about this Harbor Freight auto glass pulling toolkit, and what you get in the toolkit here. There's three items. This is a paint stick, but there's three items. You get this roll of cutting cable. It'll work. You get these two handles that hold the cable. They work. Okay, and then you get this tool that's supposed to get the cable. It's supposed to force its way. Okay. This is kind of like a push tool that you're supposed to, they expect you to just force your way through the urethane adhesive under the glass to get the cable fed through and where it's going to make its cut. And this will not work as far as I'm concerned. You can just get rid of this. Don't bother trying to use that. You'll probably end up breaking the glass. A couple of things. Well, the situation for me is I need to take these pieces of glass out of this car. This car, as you can obviously see, it's totally stripped. And I used these Harbor Freight tools to pull the glass. Now, the thing you got to understand here is this car is totally stripped. So this is not the same as glass replacement on a car that's on the road. There's going to be some differences here. I'm talking from the perspective of a guy who needs to pull the glass from a car that's totally stripped. But the thing is, I had to have these pieces of glass out in one piece. Okay, so even though I'm probably replacing the windshield, I'm definitely not replacing the back glass. Need to pull it out in one piece, save it, and I'm going to put it back in. So anyways, pull it out with the Harbor Freight tools. Now here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of wood with a hole in it, and it doesn't need to be, the only reason why this is like this, because I already had it laying around. There was a piece of wood with a couple of holes, but all you need is a piece of wood, maybe about an inch thick or so, with a hole about like that, and it doesn't need to be a long stick, just a small block of wood with a hole in it. Okay, you got to have that. That doesn't come with the Harbor Freight kit. And without that, it's not going to work. And then here's a couple other things. You're going to need a lubricant, and for me, on this stripped car, WD-40 works great. It's ideal. However, you're not going to use that on a vehicle that's on the road and the interior's in place. Obviously, WD-40 is going to stain your interior, stain your upholstery, so you can't use that. So the lubricant you're going to use is water. Okay, just get a spray bottle with water and some dish soap in it. So soap and water. That's what you're going to use on a vehicle that's on the road. And but you got to have a lubricant. Lubricant's very important. Then a couple things you got to remember: take your time. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to need to have this done by a certain time. Allow all day so you can take your time, because if you get in a hurry, that's where you're going to break it. Okay, and this again, I'm assuming that you don't have a broken glass. If you do have a broken glass, well, then heck with it. But if you need to pull it out, like if you're doing a restoration like me, you need to pull it out in one piece and don't break it. So then the other thing is, if you need to pull the glass out in one piece, do not pry on the glass. You'll break it. Okay, you can't pry on the glass. You have to sever the adhesive. It needs to be completely severed. And then that's where the lubricant comes in. The lubricant's going to help the cutting action, and then also the lubricant, as it gets in the cut, it acts as a release agent, because what happens is after you make the cut, and this urethane will actually try to stick. It'll still have some of its adhesive properties, and it'll try to stick itself back together. So that's what the lubricant's going to act like a release agent to get in there after the cut is made. It's going to work in there and keep things separated. And basically, do not try to lift that glass out unless it's completely severed and separated all the way around completely. If you get to where, there's just one little corner and I think I'm going to pry it off, and don't do that. If you bend the glass, you'll break it. Okay, you've been warned. All right, now here's, like I said, in this tool setup, you're going to need this block of wood with a piece of hole in it. Then this is the game changer right here. Okay, this is going to take the place of this. Okay, this is going to get you through and get your cable started. And what this is just a piece of welding rod. Okay, it's like about an 1/8 inch thick. Coat hanger, you use anything. What you're going to do is you're going to heat this up. You're going to take a propane torch, and then you're just going to heat this thing up. You have to, so get yourself a piece of appropriate wire, rod, steel, about an 1/8 inch thick. This is welding rod, coat hanger, something like that. Okay, then you go to the corners from the inside, and you got to heat this thing up till it's glowing red. And what's going to happen is you're going to melt your way through, and that's what I did here. You're going to go at the corners. So you want to get at the corner or as close to the corner as you can. What happens is you're going to heat this thing glowing red, and you're going to touch it to there, and it's not going to go through, and you have to keep repeating. Pull it out, get it glowing red, push in, and you're going to have to repeat that process about 10 times, and that gets you in, okay? And then go to all 4 corners. You can see where I did this one here, all 4 corners. And then the next thing you're going to do is you have to understand, you're not going to whipsaw, okay? You're not going to go back and forth, back and forth. This is where everybody makes a mistake. They think they're going to push the cable through, and they're going to have one hand on the inside, or maybe 2 people, one guy on the inside, one guy on the outside, and they think they're going to whipsaw like this and saw the way through. That's a mistake. The way you're going to do it, you don't work from the inside and outside at the same time. You don't need 2 people. You're going to work one man, okay? And the way that works is you're going to push the cable through, the cutting cable, from the inside on each end. You're just going to pick a span from one corner to the other corner, and you're just going to do 4 spans at a time, starting from corner to corner. So you're going to go from the inside, you're going to push the cable through and grab it with some needle nose, pull it through a few inches. Then you're going to have a long enough piece of cable that reaches all the way over, and you're going to push the other end through also from inside to outside. So what's going to happen is you're going to have 2 pieces of cable from the outside, okay? Or I mean 2 ends of the same cable, 2 ends of the same cable, and they're both going from outside or inside to out. So both ends of your cable are going to be outside. You're not going inside and out, and then you're not going to whipsaw. What happens is you're going to use your wood, okay? When you feed the cable through, you're going to pick one end's going to be your anchor end, and the other end's going to be your pull end. On the anchor end, you're going to feed the cable through the hole in your hunk of wood. Again, this doesn't have to be a long stick, just any random hunk of wood, okay? But you got to have a piece of wood. And then you feed the cable through the wood, and then you're going to attach your T-handle. And then all that's going to do, the hole's got to be small enough so that that T-handle is just going to butt up in there on the tension, and it's just going to stay stuck there, because what's going to happen on the other end is going to stick out. You're going to put your other T-handle there, and that's going to be your pull end. And so you're going to pull the whole damn thing through real tight, okay? It's going to be real tight like a guitar string, and you'll hear it twanging like a guitar string. It's going to be real tight. Then you got to make sure that you're not hanging up on anything on the inside. You're going to have to go in there, carefully examine where that cable is landing, get it up off of things that are going to get damaged. It's got to stay right alongside the cut. And once you got that all squared away, you're going to take this end, and you're going to take both hands on one end, because this end is going to be anchored, okay? You got your anchor end and your pull end. And then from this point, okay, and you're going to need enough cable to where you can reach across, because you're going to be standing on the anchor end. You're going to stand over here, and you're going to reach all the way over. So you're going to need enough cable to come through and reach at least, arm's length, to where you can get a hold of it over here, both hands, and you're just going to pull. And you got to pull really hard, okay? But what happens is you'll feel it start to give, okay? And the pull's got to go linear right along with the line of the glass. So you're not going to pull like out here, okay? You're going to pull straight back toward your anchor end, okay? And like I say, you got to go inside, make sure that cable's not hanging up on any sheet metal or any protrusions or whatever, and make sure it's up against where it needs a cut. And then as you pull, it slices, okay? And you're gonna it's steady pull. There's no sawing, okay? There's no yanking, jerking, steady pull, and it's gonna take a lot of pull, okay? You're gonna have to brace your feet, put your weight into it, and just pull. And what'll happen is you'll feel it give, and then the lubricant will help you, okay? You're gonna have to have this whole thing wet with lubricant, okay? And then so, on the bottom, you're gonna wet from the inside, so gravity pulls it in. On the top, you're gonna wet from the outside. On the sides, maybe wet from both sides. But that lubricant gets pulled in by the cable, and it has 2 benefits. First of all, it helps with the cut. Secondly, it serves as a release agent to keep the urethane from trying to stick back to itself again, okay? And make sure that everything's released. And then what you do is just pull steady, and you'll feel it give, and it'll come to you. And then as it starts coming to you, when you feel it coming to you, you can start pulling harder and going a little more. And what'll happen is you'll eventually, just with steady pull, both hands, okay, and like basically all your weight, tug of war, pull steady. And what'll happen is you will get to your anchor point, and then from there, you're going to have to take your piece of wood out. So you get rid of your piece of wood, and now you've put your pull handle back on, and you can shorten it up. You know, you'll have to shorten it up a couple of times, and you know, to get it to a manageable length. And then from here, you're only going to have about an inch or so left. From there, you can start to use that whipsaw action, okay? But you still have to pull, okay? And you'll have to finesse your way around to get that last little bit, and just, you know, improvise, play it by ear, it'll go, because it's only a short section. So a steady pull plus a little bit of sawing action, and you'll get it. And then here's a couple other things to watch out for. As you're, here's a spot over here, as you're pulling along, what can happen, there's a sheet metal protrusion here, okay? And, you know, these things are going to come up. They're all over inside of there. And so as you're pulling along, and on this one here, my anchor point was down here, okay? You can see here's where I melted my way through. And once you melt your way through, you can just push that cable in with your fingers. You don't really need a tool to feed it in there. What you do is when you melt your way through, and wiggle it around, open that thing up, and then get your lubricant inside of there and make sure that passageway, you know, is just free of anything, you know, hanging up, and it's lubricated, and that cable will slip right through there. So anyway, I'm anchored at this end at the bottom, and I'm pulling, okay? I'm pulling from the top down, pulling. Everything's going steady and smooth. All of a sudden, I get to this point and I hit a wall, okay? And it's not going, and you got to be responsive to that. If you feel that happen, stop, go in there and look. And what I found, you can see the mark where the cable, you know, it took some of the paint off. Big deal. You can, you know, make sure you touch that up before you put the glass back on. I'm painting this whole thing anyway, so I don't care. But if you're doing this on a car that's on the road, if you make any scratches, break any paint in here, touch it up with something. Make sure that there is no exposed metal, because this metal is going to get wet from condensation the same way your glass gets fogged from the inside in humid weather. Well, the fog's going to get here too, so you don't want rust happening here. If you scratch it anywhere, if you make scratches on the inside anywhere, even though they're hidden areas, you know, they don't show, obviously, after the glass is in place, but touch it up with something, don't leave any metal. So anyway, the cable, the cutting cable hooked on that, and that's where I hit a wall, so you have to stop, back up, pull it out over that protrusion, slip it over it so it's, you know, back in place where it belongs, and you get past that protrusion, continue the pull. Steady, and it just goes real easy. And you'll find that it's very easy. You know, if you try sawing your way down here, you're just going to snap the cable like every quarter inch, maybe half inch of progress. You snap the cable, and it's going to be very frustrating. And I've seen other people that had that problem. So that's what they didn't know. So this is how you're going to do it with this crummy Harbor Freight tool that you know, you'll see a lot of videos online that everybody says it's a piece of shit, it won't work. Well, it can work, okay? And I just showed you what you need to do to make it work. So I made it work. I pulled 2 pieces of glass without breaking them, without doing any damage. You know, like I say, if you're going to do this on a car that's on the road, you're going to have to put a lot of protection on the outside, okay? Get yourself some heavy duct tape. Maybe even you can do things like you can take, you know, a stir stick, you know, a flat piece of wood, and, you know, in the zone where you're going to pull and the cables might go over a painted area, you can tape a stir stick to that so the cable has something to rub on besides the paint of the car, okay? Do things like that, and that'll get you through it on a car that's on the road and you're trying to replace a piece of glass. So, you know, it can be done with this tool, okay? But you got to have this, okay? You have to heat and melt your way, you know, with a hot rod, and it's glowing red, okay? And it's glowing red when you push it in there, melt your way through, and it'll get you in there easy peasy. And then you need your wooden block with a hole in it to create your anchor point, okay? And then you're going to need lubricant, okay? Either WD-40 on a stripped car like mine, or if it's not a stripped car, soap and water in a spray bottle. And if you have those things and use the right kind of technique where all your pull is coming from one end on the outside, okay? And it's all pull. It's not saw, okay? And maybe a little bit of seesaw on the very end, and that's all, okay? And if you stick to that, it will work. I got it to work. I'm sorry I can't make a how-to video. I don't have a camera person, so I'm just talking about how I did it. It is possible. I did it. So there you go. Thanks a lot. So long.